waiting. Start a riot and Titus, and the spirit in flames. That's why I gotta know what I am, what I need, and where I stand. 'Cause all I know is I answer to the truth. Hey, don't you get in my way. I don't care what they say. I just have to be me, individual. Tell me why I have to be anything I don't feel. All I wanna be is individual. Cause I just wanna be me. Yeah, I just wanna be me. Yeah. Hey, don't you get in my way. I don't care what they say. I just have to be me, individual. Tell me why I have to be anything I don't feel. All I wanna be is individual.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
26 of the best open-wheel drivers in sim racing come together to compete for the Grand Prix Turn Racing iRacing Series Championship and the $10,000 grand prize that comes along with it. In 10 weeks' time, we find out who walks away defeated and who walks away a champion.
If any championship has a final 3 rounds better than this, show me. This is the Red Bull Ring, a circuit absolutely fantastic in terms of its top speed, who is going to have wings today, and whose wings are going to be clipped. This is an important 38 laps worth of racing, which is coming up on the horizon. Jake Sperry, Kenneth Bueno, Peter Mackay here to bring the action. And Peter, we sit with Przemysław Lemonek here with a big win last time out at Fuji Speedway, and only now is starting to realise the weight of expectation he has on his shoulders.
Well, when he crossed the line to take that win last week, he looked remarkably relaxed. But coming into these last 3 rounds of the championship, I don't think he'd be quite so relaxed now. He does have a lead in the championship, but anything can happen. We've seen that throughout the season, and I think the nerves will be starting to kick in a little bit.
And these final 3 tracks, Kenneth, we take a little bit of an understanding of it as we look down the board and see how these drivers have gone this season. Lemonek, his 2nd race win of the season. It's all about speed to end the championship. Red Bull Ring, the lottery ticket that is Pocono, and then Monza to finish the championship.
The common thread, Drake, with all of these 3 tracks at the end of the schedule is the long straightaways. Red Bull Ring, we're going to have a lot of those this afternoon. Pocono Raceway, we know about the tricky triangle in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, just how fast that can be, upwards of 240 miles an hour going into the corners. And then Monza next. A lot of long straightaways could give the opportunity for a draft, which only adds, Jake, to the unpredictability of either this championship and the end of the 2023 season.
And speaking of predictability, it's 16 points the lead at the top for Przemysław Lemonek, up and ahead of David Toth at this point. Jarl Tyen is the only other driver within 26 points of Lemonek, so one of those 3 drivers will walk out of today as the championship leader going to Long Pond, Pennsylvania and Pocono Raceway. But you look at these drivers, I would say down to 60 points, Peter, you still have a legitimate shot of putting a stake down and saying, I could still potentially win this championship.
No question about it. Anyone in those top 5 drivers can win the championship still. As you mentioned, lottery ticket when we go to Pocono next week. That is absolutely true. I totally agree. So let's see what happens. Lemonek's got the edge for now, but let's wait and see.
And Kenneth, let's get an understanding of this brilliant Red Bull Ring circuit. It was taken away from racing in the early to mid 2000s, brought back by Red Bull in the early 2010s. But this circuit on paper doesn't do it justice. This is an elevation nightmare at the base of the Styrian Mountains.
Well, Red Bull certainly revitalized this track when they brought it back, and it's just an absolute classic. And you can tell a lot of the long straights here. It's a rather non-complex circuit. You don't have a lot of twisty, windy sections that are very intricate. You just have simple corners, you have hard braking zones, and you have winding corners to the left, to the right, and then you have, of course, the very fast pace all around this track. 2.68 miles, only 10 turns, but each presents a unique challenge that opened in 1969 and then came back later. It's also the first track to host 2 Formula One Grand Prix in the same season. We were here back in 2021, Jake. Peter Berryman, the winner of that, and that race proved to be a pivotal turn in the championship that year.
It was pivotal, and this qualifying's been pivotal. Only driver on the softs in qualifying was Michael Janney. He takes the pole position ahead of Carlos Fenollosa and Michele Costantini in 3rd. Pablo Espes will feel happy because rows 2 and 3 both hold one Wave Italy car and one Apex Racing Team car. Ben Fuller and Kalen Chin, they are 5th and 6th. on this grid. On row 4, it's Marcos Nunez, 4th in the championship, with Manel Kubo Torres alongside him for company for SDK Gaming. Eduardo Leo and Jarl Tyen, 3rd in the championship, are 9th and 10th. Tamas Simon and Jakub Maciejewski house row 6 of the grid. But look at this. The top 2 in the championship are on row 7. Top ahead of Lemonek. They'll have their work cut out from the middle of the field. Xabi Rose and Gail Valero, the first driver on the hard compound tire qualifying, is 16th, with Jakob Behrens for IGL Coatings and Jacob Reed in 18th position. Over to 19th is Jeffrey Decker with Jan Hoffman in 20th place, with Matteo Calistani, surprisingly Matt Emery and Charles Sears, the final 3 drivers in terms of their qualifying lap times as they get themselves set up. They have, of course, those 2 minutes to get themselves ready and are situated around this Red Bull Ring circuit, which is, as far as everything goes, a power track and then some. These drivers are going to be looking at what do they need to balance today, and tire life and tire temperature might be the aim that gets that victory done overall. And in terms of the front, Michael Janney, Feniosa, Costantini, Espes and Fuller, they are all looking to try and get their first race win notch of the season. They'll have 38 laps and 1 mandatory change of tyres to do so and to get this all sorted. This is big, that run up to the Niki Lauda curve, because it's such a closed first section. Expect maybe a couple drivers to trip over somebody at that point if they're not careful and attentive. Green flag in the air, and let's get ourselves underway then here with racing at the Red Bull Ring. They will rush up in towards turn 1, the Niki Lauda curve for the first time, and everybody just about is going to scramble on through nice and calmly down the hill towards turn 3. Immediately it's Michele Costantini looking for 2nd position on the outside here compared to Feniosa. They hit the brakes for 3, and it's the Altus car on the inside that holds on to 2nd for the moment, Peter.
Yeah, all pleased through those first couple of corners, and this is where Michael Yanni's really got to make it count with that soft tyre on, and you've got to expect that he's going to bring some of these faster guys on the medium with him as well as they come through the very tight right corner.
Yeah, some brilliant scrapping still here too wide as there was going through the likes then of Tamas Simon. Your front 4 there and clear, and they're braking because they're scrapping so hard for this position here, Kenneth. The likes of Ben Fuller and Kalen Chin. Chin being an absolute menace because he wants Pablo Espes in 4th to get away.
He does, and for Chin, he's looking for a rebound on his season, the driver for Wave Italy, and we were talking about it pre-race in the form that there are many teams that have one driver who has succeeded definitely through the season, and then the other not so much. Kalen Chin on the bottom end of the standings, he's looking for a solid finish this afternoon, and he's waiting for his Wave Italy Racing teammate to stay up front and contend with the rest of the top 3. They have all single filed out though, although it looks like Eduardo Leo, Marcos Nunez, the 2 VRS machines, making a battle happen around the top 10. Look at this gaggle of cars.
Yeah, so you got Leo in there, Manel Kubo, Marcos Nunez, Simon, Yartayan side by side right now with your championship leader, Przemysław Lemonek, in the back of shot. So it's all going on here around this, and none of these drivers in the middle of the pack can afford one thing, Peter, to trip over any one other driver.
Definitely not. Definitely not. The drivers are going to have to be keeping a close eye on the incident points. You get 1 incident point for every break of track limits, which is always a discussion here at the Red Bull Ring, but you also get 4 incident points for heavy contact with another driver. So you want to really avoid that as well. The limit is 17 incident points across 38 laps. We are going to be talking about that as the race goes on, I believe.
Hat on for Michael Janney. Feniosa sets the fastest lap of the race, a 106.5, which gives him 1 championship point for that. On for 3rd as well. Pablo Espes versus Michele Costantini right now for 3rd, and they are now 1.1 seconds back. This is a very important draft-dependent circuit here, Kenneth. The key today is if you fall outside of 1.5 seconds, it's going to be very difficult to pull that gap back.
And it's also going to be even more difficult in turn to gain time on strategy. When you don't have the draft and you don't have cars around you, it's going to make things 1,000 times harder. When you're midway through this race at around halfway, drivers are changing compounds and speeds are going to alter in some sort of ways. You look at the race for the lead at the top, the race for 3rd on the bottom. This is going to be monumental for Costantini, Jake, because he came away with a top 5 at Fuji after 2 race finishes below 20th, where he struggled dearly in both of those events. He's looking to fight his way back in this championship conversation. He's staying behind Pablo Espes for now, but the key for the top 4, stay in the draft, don't fall back.
Well, the key for Michele Costantini, Peter, was that he found himself in so much trouble. He was last at Fuji last time out. After one corner, he went through. Here's side-by-side for the race lead. While that happens, Michael Jani's soft tyres might be already starting to find the crumble zone as Feniosa makes a comfortable pass at turn 3 and jumps up the position. First, third, and fifth races are on your screen at this moment. Ben Fuller leads that group in 5th place on back. But the key now for Michael Jani is just hold on until he reaches the stop. Big send down on the bottom right of the screen there, because that was Eduardo Leo getting the pass done on Kalen Chin.
I think Feniosa's played this absolutely perfectly on those medium tyres. He hooked into the back of Jani, whereas Espes and Costantini couldn't quite run that pace in those first couple of laps. Now, Feniosa's got a bit of gap between himself and Espes and Costantini. We expect that Jani will drop off the pace now on those soft tyres, and at that point Feniosa will already be clear and gone. He'll have broken the draft to Espes and Costantini.
Important things to note. David Toth back in 14th position as Espes sets the fastest lap. Lemonek is 11th and Jarl Tyen is 12th. So Lemonek, compared to his main rivals, with the exception of Marcos Nunez, is still gaining championship points. Not many, but still is. There is Ben Fuller in 5th position, having to defend this almighty slew of drivers behind him. Leo and Chin and Manuel Cubo Torres, who's all there, Kenneth, trying to get things sorted. But this is all about pack mentality at this point. You have to make sure that you are confident in your battle pack. And speaking of which, Espes and Costantini's work has meant that they've both made it a group of 4 again at the front.
And when you're making these packs, Jake, and you think about all the considerations for strategy, you're sort of building that trust with the drivers around you in that sense, because they also understand that if I pit on a different lap, if I extend my distance between myself and the rest of the group, I'm probably going to fall off. I may lose a lot of track position. I'm going to throw away my race unnecessarily. So when you're in a pack of 4, 5, maybe 6 cars, you're thinking like that Daytona Talladega mentality, right? Where if I pit, I'm pitting with the group. If I exit, I'm going to exit with the group as well. I'm going to stay with as many cars as I can in the draft, make sure that it can take me in position to the end of the race as we ride on board with the Spaniard, Pablo Espes. How about the fastest lap for the driver sitting in 3rd?
This is the brilliant driver's eye view that you could have by jumping onto iRacing today if you have not already. And he is a driver who is looking for everything he can, using that guttural scream of that naturally aspirated engine, that 3 litres that is there, that produces so much brake horsepower and so much torque. I think it produces something like 1,300 brake horsepower per tonne. This is a beast of a car, Peter.
Oh, it's a monster. It is an absolute monster. Revs to nearly 20,000 RPM as well. It's a soundtrack that many of us miss in the top level of single-seater racing. But yeah, it's an absolute monster to drive, and one that's a real challenge for iRacing members. I'm surprised actually that Feniosa is not breaking away from Jani here, and Jani is taking Espes with him. The question is, how hard is Jani going to fight Espes? He didn't really fight Feniosa at all. Is he going to make it easy for Espes to go by or not?
Well, that's the next question, and I think we're just about to answer it, because that was a fantastic run up turn 3 by Pablo Espes as he looked to try and pass the only soft runner in the field right now in Michael Jani. Can't find the angle then down the hill at Route Corner. That's the strategy we're expecting to see between Jani and the rest of the field. Jani, we're expecting around lap 14, Kenneth, to dive in. Lap 24 is most likely when we'll see the medium drivers come in, but we might see that undercutting of lap 24 to try and get the one up on the driver in front.
Well, this battle is the epitome of the strategies at the bottom of your screen. Option A for Jani, option B for Pablo Espes. The thing here for Jani is that now he's behind Feniosa. He's probably not pushing as much. Lap 14 is probably still going to be the calling card for him on the soft tires, but we may see it extend a little more just based on the fact that he's not pushing that car all too much. And as we look at our turn racing race analysis here from Red Bull Ring, and as Pablo Espes makes this attempted pass for turn 3 for second, we've got 38 laps around here, pit road speed at 37 miles an hour. and that tire compound change is going to matter like we talked about. Fuel tank can go that 24-lap distance that we saw on option B. That will matter most, especially for around the 4 or 5 drivers on the hard tires this race.
The big thing I'm seeing from this race analysis, Peter, is 16 seconds transit lane time. It's one of the shortest pit lanes we'll have all season. And look at the gaggle of hard compound tyre runners at this moment in time. They're about 11 to 12 seconds off the pace right now. They need to clear those drivers before they can consider pitting.
That's very true. Yeah, and I don't think the hard tyre is going to throw up much of a fight. We saw them being over a second slower in qualifying, so I don't think that will take all that long. Meanwhile, Fenollosa has got a 0.6 of a second gap from Espes. Espes could see Fenollosa just edging away and knew that he had to make the move on Gianni, and he did exactly that, and now hunting down the leader.
And hunting down fastest laps as well. Let's take a look back, though, to the start of this race and to see exactly how this was all set up and capable. The start, so crucial here in towards turn 1. It's a closed corner up the hill. And as these drivers look to really scramble and find that lane, 3 wide, 2 wide, majority of them in places. They have to be worried as well, Kenneth, about that anti-cut curve on the outside of turn 1. They all managed to pirouette through quite nicely. It was a very clean start, all things considered, as they chopped and changed looking for turn 3.
Well, one thing I love about Grand Prix racing, Jake, is the scurry to turn 1. And you're right about that yellow curbing on the inside of the corner. You don't want to hit that, especially with these cars, as sensitive as they are and as close to the ground as they are with the effects they have on the underbody of it. And you saw the drivers immediately back down very slow through turn 1. Wanted to make sure they A, survived the corner, and B, didn't get an off-track penalty as soon as they got out of it towards the straightaway and up till turn 3. So a monumental start by everyone. Usually we'd probably expect a bit of chaos, but for everybody it's more like controlled chaos in that sense. As we look at the top 4 already still in line. Pablo Espes to second. Now we can see what he has in store for Fenollosa, the Altus car up front.
And the thing with being the car at the front of the train, it's not always all smiles, sunshine and rainbows, Peter, because you're using more fuel compared to everyone else. And because of the profile of this Dallara IR01, you can save anywhere, especially around this circuit, nearly 3/4 of a litre a lap, which you can discover if you jump onto iRacing today.
It's a huge difference. And when we rode with Pablo Espes very briefly, we heard him lifting and coasting going into the braking zones behind Michael Gianni, and that just saves that crucial bit of fuel. Now that Espes is behind the leader, Fenollosa, he'll be able to go back to doing that and run the leading pace. So he's in a really good spot as well. But don't write off the number 66, Michele Costantini, because he is a very, very strong driver. He's had a torrid season, hasn't gone his way, but he is desperate to get a win on the board. Watch him in 4th.
Well, and you can watch how his season has gone so far by going to iRacing.com/IRGP. You can get more information on the schedule, the standings, and how to race in the series on top of that. The chase on in this second group as Ben Fuller has ceded that 5th position to Eduardo Leo and is trying to make his way into a strategy ploy at this point. Pablo Espes has been knocking on the door of some strong results, and he is one of those drivers who you would say at this point, Kenneth, has an outside shot as far as the championship goes. He comes in 8th today with just 1 podium to his name back at Detroit Belle Isle.
And he comes off of a 14th place finish at Fuji. Didn't help him that much last week, and he is 1 point off of Gale Valero, who he currently has the upper hand over. But we talked about top 16 or so still being in contention, as looks like one driver in trouble. That might have been Xavi Ros in the number 04 machine, who's a bit slow on the racetrack. But for Pablo Espes, I mean, this is going to be a monumental race if he can hold himself up here, because, I mean, his season has gone a little mediocre so far. He's been hanging around the top 10 in points, but if he gets a win this afternoon, that might be the break through the door he needs to put himself in the fight for the championship, or at least get a little closer as we head to Pocono and Monza in the following weeks.
Yeah, that could be really crucial for Pablo Espes if he can find a rich vein of form late. That could be huge in terms of what went on. Xavi Rose having troubles. This is down into turn 4, route corner. So it's a right-hander. He just grabs the gravel there on the outside. Rear right goes into the wall, so he just about gets away with it there, Peter. But you have to understand that one line through route, turn 4, it's so easy just to understeer because it falls away from you, the track.
Yeah, it's a really weird camber, that corner, so very, very easy to, just dip a tiny bit of a wheel. And the thing is, you've got 900 horsepower going through the rear wheels, so if you dip a driven wheel off the edge, you are going to get spun right around before you know where you are. So, yeah, easy mistake to make, even for the, even for some of the best drivers in the world.
Top and bottom, first and fifth, 2 races on at this moment in time. That race for fifth houses your championship leader, Przemysław Lemonek, who sits in 11th position in the number 11 car and is a very crucial member in terms of this race because he's playing the patience card, trying to save the fuel, trying to get the position to jump up that group as the second half of the race soon finds itself in view. Everybody's on the fuel save at this point in time, but Kenneth, you look at that front 4, I think the quiet driver has been Michele Costantini.
He has, but it's a methodical quietness out of Costantini at this point. He doesn't really want to be the aggressor, but that's probably by design. He wants to make sure that when they come down pit road, which should be in the next couple of laps, it is opening rather soon, that we'll see Costantini pull some trick up his sleeve that could get the best of the rest of this top 4. Now, what I've noticed as well is that everybody fifth on back, you were watching that battle at the bottom of your screen, Eduardo Leo and Ben Fuller, they're roughly now 4 seconds off of the main pack just because they lost the draft. That might be really important too. Distance is going to matter when you've got all these drivers in different groups like this across the racing surface, and especially who pits first. That might also matter too.
On board with Michele Costantini, the man from Rovigo in Italy. Last lap time for him was a 106.1 here, Peter, behind Michael Jani. Eduardo Leo behind him, 106.3, and he has to make the move now here on Michael Jani because he realises that gap is now out to a second. Down the hill at Route Corner, he makes the pass happen, and he needed to, otherwise he'd lose contact.
Yeah, and Jani's playing it quite clever as well. He's not trying to block or slow everyone down. He wants this leading group to be as quick a pace as possible, but he just wants to be part of that group, and he's done that beautifully. Has Michael Jani starting on that soft tyre. He will need to come into the pits very soon, we believe, to change onto the medium. We'll see what he can do, but he's done a very good... well, there we go. There he goes. Michael Jani right on cue for some medium tyres.
There's your live points on the right-hand side of your screen. Lemonek would increase to a 19-point championship lead were it to end like it does at this point. But Jani coming into the pits, watch the championship points change. A point will gain for a number of drivers up through this field as he will have one of the shortest pit stops of the season, lane to lane time. He will get a set of what we believe to be here, Kenneth, medium tyres to go to the end.
It appears mediums are going to last him all the way to the checkered flag, and he does. So confirmed call as he comes out of pit road. Yellow-walled medium tires for the Stormforce Gaming Delara IR01. Jani will fall to 20th, but he is, of course, waiting for the rest of the field to come in. And boy, they're really starting to stack up around 5th on back. Ben Fuller is staying put in front of Kalen Chin, Mano Cubo Torres, and even a bit of Marcos Nunez in this 7. A bunch of drivers hanging back in the top 10 in points, just trying to put their name in the ballot. And with 24 laps to go, they're going to wait to come down pit road. But I want to see if there might be some fireworks in this group, Jake. If they start to sort of pile up an accordion together, how fiery will they get before they head down?
That's the real question here. Who's going to decide they want track position into a very fast pit lane? Your entry is so crucial because you've got to get over to that right-hand side, and you've got to give yourself space because you do have to slightly lift out of turn 9. It's so easy to get run over, Peter, from behind.
Very easy. Yeah, we've seen drivers trip up here at this very pit entry here just 2 years ago in this series, where we saw a driver getting penalties for cutting over the pit blend line and getting a drive-through. So it's very easy done. The driver's got to be super careful about that. Costantini, he just was behind Jani for maybe just a couple of laps too many because he's lost the draft of Viniosa and Espes, so he's going to have to push hard in this last phase of the stint to try and get up there with that leading group if he wants to have a shot at winning this race.
Well, his last lap was 6.5 compared to the group in front. They're doing very consistent 6.1s out there in the front. So Costantini is in trouble. He's on an island on his own at this point. This second group is going to be really crucial in terms of how that plays into Michele's point tool here, coming out of the Red Bull Ring tonight as we focus on this lap with Manuel Cubo Torres, who is right up there in the points as well, and got his first victory of the season 2 race meetings ago over at Detroit Belle Isle in the crazy race, Kenneth.
Yeah, the driver out of Argentona, Spain, certainly has proven doubters wrong with that win at Detroit, and just being able to survive that much. As here's another driver on pit road. This is Jacob Reed out of the United Kingdom. Car number 31 is in, so that's the second taker down pit road. But for Manuel Cubo Torres, this is going to be monumental here. Top 10 in point standings. He's got a good look at passing Matt Emery, who he's not far behind in point standings either. It's a total of 7 between those two. Torres hanging around in the mid-pack, but that's probably the place you want to be the most. Jake, in this second group, you've got at least 5 or 6 cars with you. Nobody's significantly falling off. You've got yourself a little more security when you come down pit road.
And that security, I think, is going to be so crucial for drivers. How are they going to launch that pit stop and try and control one of the most important phases of this race when they know here as they head on to their 18th lap with 21 laps to go here at the Red Bull Ring, they're going to soon hit that window. The tank will hard cut them off at lap 24 here, Peter, but the key is they can come in at any time from that and try and get an undercut as they come through with the tyres. The issue they're going to have, though, is they're going to have to put fuel in the car at the pit stop, which means sometimes the overcut is the better strategy.
We'll see. It's very hard to tell at this point in time. You also have to think is if you can maybe get an extra lap on the medium and to shorten that soft set stint a little bit, do you try and do that? If you can go a lap longer, does that give you a little bit better life in the soft, or you don't have to stretch it as many laps as if you pitted earlier? So let's see how that one plays out. Costantini, he's not making any inroads into the leading pair right now, so they look really in a division of their own right now.
I'll tell you who else is not making inroads. Michael Janney. He is 7/10 of a second slower than the leaders right now per lap, Kenneth, and that's huge because he will fall right into this group if they decide to pit now.
It could be a mix of Janney just not pushing his car right now and waiting for it to get to that prime position where he will be able to fully use those medium tires to his advantage. But also, again, like we mentioned earlier in the show, Jake, he does not have any lick of draft. Nobody's around him on the racetrack, so he's putting laps all by himself. And so as Janney works around laps with no draft, everybody else does, it's only going to hurt lap time for car number 92 as Matt Emery, who definitely is in a position for top 5 point standings and might put himself near the championship. He was on hard tires, by the way, Jake, to start this race. Now he elects for the medium, so a different strategy coming out of the fold, but Emery is the only one on it.
Yeah, but Matt Emery, remember, starts on the hard compound tyres, and that is his gamble in qualifying really not paying off, as now we got changes right up at the front of the field as one's in and one's out. Feniosa, your race leader, is into the pits.
Wow, that seems pretty early then for Feniosa. He can't surely be putting a soft on here. He must be going for a hard, so medium and then hard for Feniosa, whereas Emery going hard and then medium. Very, very interesting. I did not expect that.
That is a hard tyre here for Feniosa. This is a huge call in terms of the race. He doesn't feel like the soft tyre is going to work long term, and there are positions being changed here as the likes of Maciejewski just in the back of shot and Tamas Lamont went through. This is the train right now, focusing on Kalen Chin and the Wave Italy car there in the centre of your shot. You then got Manuel Cubo Torres, Eduardo Leo, who's lost the place back to Ben Fuller. So Fuller finds himself there. Virtual reality being shown by Tamas Shimon as one Hungarian passes another. There goes the Arnold's competition car through, Kenneth. That's David Toth.
And that's the first position gain that David Toth has made all race long. He started 13th. That's where he was in 13th still, and then he moved up to 12th, now into 11th. So the first time we really see David Toth make any sort of gain throughout this race here from Red Bull Ring. As here's another one coming down pit road. This is Pablo Espes in the 5. And looks like another driver might follow him in, and that is, I believe, Kalen Chin is also through to the pit lane, as there's the 5. Espes coming through, the Spaniard all by himself from the race lead, and that'll give Michele Costantini a chance to lead some laps up front.
Well, that's crucial because that's both the wave Italy cars jumping in. Espes is back out on a hard compound tyre. That's a huge call in terms of this race. Caden Chin also out there on a hard. So medium hard, we weren't really expecting that today in terms of our strategy, but they are going to have to come out there together. Espes, by the way, has come out ahead of Carlos Fenollosa and has done so comfortably, but not enough to break the toe.
That's fascinating stuff. So Espes, who went a little bit longer, was able to jump past Fenollosa. So yeah, just to the tune of 0.6 of a second. Really, really curious. We've seen a lot of drivers now going for the starting on a medium tyre, then on the hard. Costantini, your leader on screen right now, is on mediums. He appears to be going deeper to the end of the fuel tank. Oh, is he going to put hard or is he going to put soft on? Two very different approaches.
Or is he going to worry about who's behind him? And that is the man from Indiana, Ben Fuller, that's now 3.3 seconds that the gap has to his Apex Racing Team teammate at this moment in time. And this is a really important phase of the race for Michele Costantini because he's lost that draft. He's now having to scramble on his own. Ben Fuller's been able to save fuel and continue in the tandem and really find that pace, Kenneth.
And he's got Leo and Torres behind him, then Nunez and Lemonek not too far behind either. So again, strength in numbers working in the favor of the cars in those larger packs. But Fuller really hasn't been able to stay up here with Costantini. The gap remains around 3.3 seconds. That will obviously change when car number 66 comes down pit road, so Fuller will have to think about that as well, where he comes out in relative, especially to Espes, to Fenollosa, when everything switches around as we'll cross for 16 laps to go. And while we mentioned Costantini had a top 5 finish last week, Fuller did not get to see the checkered flag, so Fuller has to think about that in the back of his mind too. He's not only thinking about potential championship implications, he just wants to finish a race this week after what happened at Fuji.
Absolutely, it was a mistake that he knew better of in terms of how he races, and he is a crucial figure as Ben Fuller in terms of the iRacing open wheel community. That's why sometimes he gets the moniker of Mr. Open Wheel out there in the iRacing service because he does so much. Now in comes Jeffrey Decker to make a stop then. The man from San Francisco jumps out of 13th position and will dive in and make a stop along with Charles Sears as well. So some of the rear runners are starting to come in, which would be useful for drivers like Ben Fuller and co. Mano Kubo Torres included here, Peter, because that's more drivers they don't have to worry about coming out into traffic with.
Very important, isn't it? How you manage that. Sometimes it can be a benefit if you get in behind somebody, you can really, pull up using the slipstream. There is a question though, is Ben Fuller just running a pace which he knows he's comfortable with in order to make that medium tyre last further into the race or last throughout the whole fuel tank and to make sure he can throw the soft on after? Just that little bit off the ultimate pace at the front, but let's see.
Well, we are now on lap 24 of this race, so if he's running to a number on those medium tyres, I think he's just hit it, and now, look at this, they're now going to start scrapping for track position. Eduardo Leo wants the inside at turn 3, and he's going to get that done quite comfortably. On top of that, Ben Fuller's probably going to have to follow him now into the pits, and this is where allegiances start to break down. Who's going to try and find their position through? Fuller looks to the outside, not going to find it here through turn 4. Oh, it's that sort of game here. Really, Ken, if you look at these drivers wanting that track position, it's almost like the Red Wedding.
And it was a great point by Peter that he made with Fuller just trying to extend his stint by a little longer, because it makes a lot of sense. Now that Leo made the pass, he probably realized Fuller's kind of holding us up. We're not catching Michele Costantini. We need to start moving. So Leo went in for the move in turn 3 and is not holding back. Now, if it cues Fuller for pit road, I have no idea. It will not this time by. But Leo took notice of that, but they still remain 3.4 seconds off of Costantini, and that's going to matter significantly, even if they have the draft, as here comes another driver for pit road. That's Gail Valero in the 33, who's been on hard since the start of the race. We'll see if he goes for softs or mediums for this last 14 lap stint.
Well, now here's the key. Nobody came in here on lap 24, so they've been able to save the fuel fantastically and gain those extra laps by not being aggressive, by not attacking. And if they can go onto a soft compound tyre to end this race, how much can they go? Big power moves being made, defended there by Eduardo Leo. He wants the ultimate line. He does not want to be dictated to when it comes to his stop or when he decides to come into the pit. As that happens, Michele Costantini has another 0.4 of a second, and all the while, they're chopping and changing between Fenollosa and Espes on the hard compound tyre, Peter.
Interestingly, this bunch here, even on very old mediums, they're still much faster than Fenollosa and Espes on their hards. As, Leo and Fuller in. Who was that who went by? It was Torres, who carried on for yet another lap. So, fuel saving does give you that extra lap. And if older mediums are still quicker than a new hard, and that means you can make the soft work by going deeper into the race, that could be key.
Everyone except Manuel Cubo Torres is in. It's a rush of pit crews to see who gets close to these two drivers who are currently scrambling. This is going to be a mad scramble coming out of the pit. And I think Ben Fuller's got the jump on Eduardo Leo out of the stop. And they're not a million miles away. This is big. They're all on soft, trying to chase this down. Espes and Fenollosa, watch out.
They're going to be really close here, and they also fell off of Michele Costantini. They're not within the draft of car number 66. So Costantini can have the opportunity on the fresher tires to pull away quite a bit. We're still waiting for Cubo Torres to make his move. We presume that he's probably going to go for the soft tires here on this stint. But for Costantini, monumental gap he has over Fenollosa and Espes, who have been patiently waiting for the moment to finally cycle through. Now they are, but it's in second and third as here's Torres in for pit lane.
And he very nearly missed the pit lane entirely. He was scrambling to try and get himself in. He was very much all hands to the pump, make that stop. So through will go 2 lap cars, and Michele Costantini, who is now your new race leader, out in front of this field with Fenollosa and Espes in second and third. Espes feeling like he had to cover off the move. Ben Fuller fourth, Eduardo Leo fifth, and there is second and third now starting to chase away. Manuel Cubo Torres will come out right behind Marcos Nunez in terms of where he funnels out in the long and the short of the stop, and this becomes a big point of contention as far as 12 laps worth of racing is to go.
Costantini in a brilliant place now with the soft tyre on and ahead on track from Fenollosa and Espes, because that soft tyre is just so much quicker. We saw over a second faster in qualifying than the hard tyre. Yes, the soft isn't as durable, but if you can put a big gap in these first laps of the stint, really it doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, and that's the key as well, that these drivers who are now going to the soft compound tyre, they also, Kenneth, are on the best tyre possible to try and steal away that fastest lap bonus point.
And that's going to matter a bunch when you're in the final 3 races of the season. When you need every last point, you're going to be able to take it. And we're going to monitor this battle here because Fuller and Leo, they're off a second off of Espes and Fenollosa. It's not a monumental game, but it's starting to work in their favor. We'll take a replay here and see exactly what happened. There's a Veloce Vex car in the background, Storeforce Gaming right in front. And it appears that was right off turn 4. And that was actually the engine gone. Was that Michael Janney? Yes.
Michael Janney will not be happy about that because he knew how important it was with his strategy to try and get something out of today. The engine going kaboom was the last thing on his mind. Speaking of what's on your mind, well, right now, Pablo Espes and Carlos Fenollosa, you've got Ben Fuller, you've got Eduardo Leo. They are both there. They both want to move through and they both want to gain places. In the qualifying series, Peter, Eduardo Leo got second here. He knows how to do well around this track.
And right now, if you've got that soft tyre on, you're just in dreamland. Look how much every single corner, Espes and Fenollosa are just like wounded deer right now, as they're getting hunted down corner by Fuller and Leo. I think it will just be a matter of time before they get past. They can use the draft as well to run down towards turn 3.
Yeah, Eduardo Leo sets the fastest lap then of the race. Let's get another look at that number 92 car and let's listen in. He's scrambling through the gears trying to find something and then boom, there it goes, Kenneth.
Yeah, it was gone. You could see it just fluttering, and he immediately has to come to a stop on the runoff area. Tough break for Michael Janius. Here comes Espes unleashing the move. Ben Fuller's in it. He makes contact with Fenollosa and will spin Pablo Espes around at corner number 5. A big hit, and Ben Fuller with right front wing damage will be sent out of contention for the top 10 as he scrambles. Now he comes to a stop. Ben Fuller out of the race for the second straight week.
And Ben Fuller only has himself to blame. The closing speeds, the differences there in terms of how much grip you have compared to soft to hard tyre. He should have known that as they went through too wide. He needed to lift off, he didn't, and that is a big hammer blow in the title race for Pablo Espes. He was 4th coming into today, and now he's in trouble. More side-by-side as Fenollosa and Leo now moves up into 2nd position, so he makes the pass, and he is prime candidate to chase Michele Costantini.
And really, Fenollosa, although he's just lost the position there to Leo, which was always going to happen with Leo on the softs late in the race, losing Fuller and Espes really has been a massive boon there for Fenollosa. So he'll not be as much under pressure in this latter part now with both of those cars out. However, but he's going to have a lot of other drivers, Lemonnick included, on his case very soon.
Well, let's get a look at what happened there with Ben Fuller and Pablo Espes over at turn 6 out on circuit. So it all starts here at turn 4 here at Route Corner. Fuller looks to the outside. It's 3 wide as they enter this section, but Fuller can't find a turning angle. It goes to one line suits all through this section. So he looks to attack off the exit. Already you got Pablo Espes pushing to the outside. Ben Fuller pushes to the inside, locks it up a little bit too much, and then Pablo Espes on the outside is left an innocent bystander. Not much that he could do wrong in terms of there, but focus now, because that's Przemysław Lemonnick then getting past Carlos Fenollosa and up to the podium. What a drive Lemonnick is having. This is a title-worthy drive he's having right now, Kenneth.
And in a race that seemed mostly uncharacteristic, Jake, for the driver of the 11, Lemonnick still finds his way to at least a podium spot inside 8 laps to go. Him, David Toth, Jarl Tyen, all of them buried in the mid-pack. We had many questions surrounding their capabilities here at Red Bull Ring and what they would be able to do during the race to try and gain some valuable points. Lemonnick, the points leader, is only stomping his foot further on the rest of the competition. Even if he doesn't win this race, Lemonnick's drive all the way from P14 on the grid, it's going to be really special in his championship chase.
Yeah, P3, and Eduardo Leo sets the fast lap of the race. 5-6, spinner on the inside, and guess who has gone around? It's a bit of lap traffic there. It's Jan Hoffman from Vortex who's found himself a way around, and that's not ideal at all. There's another little look then in the moves. Marcos Nunez crucially makes the pass, so too Manuel Cubo Torres.
Fenollosa is just running winded now with those hard tyres. It shows that that was not the call at all. Those going for that soft tyre late in the race was definitely the right call, and Fenollosa is really under pressure right now for Jarl Tyen and David Toth, but they're the next 2 cars behind. They've got 7 laps to make up a couple of seconds, but they are on the more favourable tyre. So this is, if they want to win this championship, they've got to dig deep now to try and score some points.
The only driver you could really feel who's in the best position to capitalise with Lemonnick is Marcos Nunez in 4th position there, just behind the Drago Racing number 11, who currently sits himself on the final step at the podium here today. He is the sort of driver who's been quietly putting those results together, Kenneth, over the course of the season. He's got 2 podiums to his name, a 3rd at the opener in Spa, and a 2nd at Silverstone. Outside of that, 4 top 5 finishes if you include those as well. 5 finishes inside of the top 7.
It's all about consistency in a series like this, especially when you only have 10 races to make a championship bid. And for Marcos Nunez, this is going to be monumental as well, because Jarl Tyen, David Toth, they're a bit off. So for Nunez here, just being as consistent as can be, that is going to help, and it's going to keep him alive when we enter Pocono. And speaking of Tyen and Toth, they're somewhat going at it with each other for 7th. They're in a 2nd pack of their own. This is Tyen, Toth, Maciejewski, and then Kalen Chin at the tail end of this. These drivers looking for some maximum points, coming to 5 laps to go.
Driver I'm not worried about in this group is Yartayan or Davidov. It's Jakub Maciejewski, because he is the Drago teammate, of course, of the championship leader, Przemysław Lemonek, Peter. It's crucial that he gets himself involved as Lemonek takes a championship point. He is one race win clear of everybody else as it stands.
Isn't it amazing how momentum can shift in motor racing, even over the case of one race day? We looked at after qualifying that Lemonek was in a world of pain. He was outside of the top 10, and now he's on the podium. It just shows you how quick things can change.
Yeah, and he wants second place now. Eduardo Leo is the next target in the sights at 3.5 tenths of a second through turn 5, heading to turn 6. He wants to continue to increase that gap, increase that lead in the championship, give himself a buffer for now the last 5 laps of this race and the last 2 rounds of this championship. If he can finish it around early at Pocono, that would be huge for him. No guarantees of that just yet, because he knows above anything else right now, does Przemysław Lemonek, that he has prioritizing finishes, as he said so the first time he stepped on the podium, Kenneth.
When we talked to him after finishing on the podium, he said, I'm going to take it race by race, and that's exactly what he has done in 2023. And as a champion, if you end up as the champion later in the season, these are the races you remember. Those where you have your back against the wall, where you face the most adversity, where everyone, as it seems at the beginning of the race today, counted him out. Now he's here with a bid at a top 3 and potentially second if he can get around Leo. For Lemonek, fastest lap now, then a 3rd place finish. That is what you need to put yourself forward in that championship. And there's the race for 7th still, Tyne and Top. We'll see how aggressive they get in the closing laps, because I can imagine for car number 41 for Top, he needs to be sort of scrambling a bit to gain the position.
Yeah, and of course, with Lemonek's teammate in 9th, he might want to try and get in and take some vital points away from these drivers. Davidov will know that one pass here on Yartayan not only gives him a bit of a buffer in 2nd position, Peter, but will also keep him just, and I mean just, within 1 race win of Przemysław Lemonek. It's a vital move for Davidov right now in this race on for 7th place.
Yeah, it's now or never really getting towards the latter part of the season. They need the points on the board. You do not want to give anything away, but Maciejewski has just dropped off a little bit, so you can tell that Tyne and Toth are going for this. Meanwhile, that was easy. Straight around the outside, and Tyne didn't really put up much of a fight there at all. Toth through.
And because of the bonus points, that will mean that there is still 2 drivers who could lead Pocono next week as championship leader as things stands. That is a big swing as well. It means now it's a 6-point swing between 2nd and 3rd position as they go. Still on for 2nd place here as Lemonek continues to try and chase, but he's now running out of laps here, Kenneth. We are down to 3, soon to be 2 laps to go at the behest of Apex Racing Team's Michele Costantini.
And for Leo and Lemonek, it appears they may be too far back to make something happen on Costantini. They're about 3.3 seconds off, but with the amount of laps left, we're heading to the white flag sooner than later, so Costantini almost about has this in the bag if he can execute at least 1 more perfect lap. For Lemonek, though, his time is waning if he wants that 2nd place position and to at least extend the championship lead back to 27, as Top took the spot away from Yartayan to make it 26. He's gained a lot here through turn 3, but through this 2nd sector, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way through 10. For Lemonek, it's been a little tougher to catch up to Leo. Costantini, though, eyeing in on the white flag soon.
Yeah, he's trying to get there in just a moment, but Lemonek, I wonder how much he's trying to time that run. He's been close, but not really pulled the trigger, so to speak here, Peter, in the final lap and a 3rd.
No, hasn't really been able to make an impression. Leo driving very, very well with Lemonek chasing, but I think at the start of the race, if you said to Lemonek, tapped him on the shoulder and said, you're going to finish 3rd and you're going to have fastest lap, he would have, I think he might have ripped your finger off.
I think he might have ripped the thumb off that he put thumbs up on 1 week ago. There is your race leader, Michele Costantini, who knows he is 4.32 kilometers away from picking up an almighty race result here in terms of the context of his season. He's come into today 10th in the championship. He came into the season on many people's form books as the championship favourite. It has not gone the way that he has hoped for so far this season, but he is hoping that there is something there. There are still changes up and down the order and still races to go on, because you've still got these passes to try and figure out. Nunez then finds himself now behind Manuel Cubo Torres. Another hammer blow for the number 7. It's consistent, and Tired and Top side by side, trying to find these positions. Toth falls again, 1 point shy, and now they've also got Gail Valero in there. Looks then through turn 6. Not gonna happen. Then for one Mr. Toth as they now start to slide. McKelly is magical here today. He will master this circuit. Big fist bump as he gets himself everything he wants. A win and then some.
Oh, and Tyan just hanging on for the win with Toth there right in his wheel tracks. How important will that be? Got a driver running out of fuel there in the last lap too.
Yeah, I think that would have been Gail Valero there who was struggling there over towards the line. So Valero really has that scramble over the line, not what he wanted. And he was right up there and drops back to 11th because of the fuel margins being so tight. Almost everybody over the line then at this point, but a big win for Michele Costantini and a big statement, Kenneth, for Przemysław Lemonek.
It's a statement indeed for the championship leader, but for the Italian, Michele Costantini, how many times, Jake, have we been talking about car number 66 and his ability to go out and win these races? He has not been able to do it. His best finish was second at Jerez. That was a very long time ago, race number 2. Costantini finally checks that box for a race win this season. 6 different winner in 2023, and he can put himself closer to that championship fight.
He can, a winning margin of 3.5 seconds over Eduardo Leo, with Przemysław Lemonek now moving 1 race clear with 2 rounds to go with that 3rd place finish here tonight. Manuel Cubo Torres will finish 4th, leading 3 Spaniards then, Marcos Nunez and Carlos Fenollosa, whose hard compound strategy wasn't necessarily the way forward. Jarl Tyen will finish 7th ahead of David Toth, and then you had 9th and 10th there, Kalen Chin and Tamas Simon. Gail Valero running out of fuel will get 11th. Maciejewski, and a big shame for Pablo Espes. 13th was not what the doctor ordered after contact with Ben Fuller. The likes there of the Jakob and Jacob, Jeffrey and Charles, Mateo and Jan. Don't forget Matt Emery in 14th position. All there. Jan Hoffman 3 laps down, really struggled. And then your retirees, Ben Fuller, Michael Janney and Chabby Rose. Those 3 will not be happy. They'll have to go back to the drawing board until they reach the tricky triangle 1 week from today. So we are going to get ourselves then an opportunity to have a very good look at what happened on the final stages of this race. This is Gail Valero, Peter, running out over the line.
And let's hear just where it starts to cough.
Wow.
Oh, interesting. I mean, out the last corner. Yeah, there was not even a cough. It was just ran dry straight away. Wow.
And that is often the warning sign that you do not want to see. And it's a slowdown as well. You would have also sensed off of that section too. He might have there just tried to serve the penalty before he got over the line, because if he had the penalty, he dropped back and put himself into position. No surprises, though, for your race winner. Michele Costantini stood by with Kenneth Bueno.
And here I am with Costantini, the race winner here at Red Bull Ring. Michele, how long overdue is a win like this after what's been such a tumultuous season?
Too long. Yeah, just finally. I think we've had the fastest car for most of the tracks so far, and we just haven't been able to convert that into a win. Well, apart from Manel obviously winning at Belial, that was quite a chaotic race, but finally a win. Yeah, I'm really happy.
It finally comes your way here. 3 races left to go in the season, and you had a point, Zandvoort Belial, where you had 2 finishes below 20th and a top 5 rebound at Fuji last week. How important is it to tick these last 3 races off and put yourself back in contention for this year's championship?
Yeah, I don't really know what the standings are looking like, but I think the championship is quite out of reach. I'm just gonna think about going race to race up until the end. because I think it's just it's quite a big gap. I think I don't even know how the standings look back. But yeah, Pocono and Monza as the last 2 races, an oval which I quite like, and then home race last race. So yeah, hope to do well there in both of those.
Well, it's a huge win for you, Michele. I'm sure definitely it felt like a very long time. Your best finish of the season up until this point was second at Jerez. I'm sure this one certainly feels good. Pocono comes up next. Are we expecting immense chaos up to the fullest intent?
Absolutely, yes. It's quite a wide track as well. With this car has quite strong draft and slipstream, so I'm expecting a 4 and 5 wide action in the front straight for sure. And yeah, just about surviving that race, as basically same as Texas, approaching the same way, which didn't go our way with the caution, but we were dominating up until that point. So yeah, so I'm just looking forward to the last 2 and trying to do good in both of those.
Looking forward to it. But until then, Michele, go on and celebrate this win, your first of 2023. On behalf of the broadcast team, congratulations on the W. We'll see you at Long Pond, Pennsylvania 1 week from today.
Thank you very much, guys.
Michele Costantini finally breaks free and get his first win of 2023. We'll talk to Eduardo Leo, who comes home in second for VRS. And Eduardo, certainly a very crazy race here at Red Bull Ring. Strategy fell right in your favor. Talk us through what that was like and how you were able to position yourself in the right way on that cycle.
Yeah, that was a real pity that in the start we lost the slipstream to the first guys, honestly, because I felt like I had very good pace, honestly, but quality didn't go my way because I probably mistaken the tire preparation. So that meant I started too far back to fight for something more important. But I think I had much more in that. So yeah, I just had to repair what I've done, the mistake I've done, and slowly started to grind up the field. And honestly, that worked. I just stayed calm and tried to push as much as I could. It's a great way to be back here in the podium because after some bad luck last round in Fuji and some very crucial mistake for me in Detroit meant that I'm a bit too far back in the championship. But honestly, yeah, that was very good.
But regardless, still, you're working for some cash prizes, top 10 in points. You're still looking to end this season on the right foot. We go to a tricky triangle next week in Pocono, last oval of the season. And then we head off to Monza to close things off for the year. What are the biggest things you're keeping in mind as you move forward to those 2 races and how you're going to attack those?
Well, I think I'm gonna try to stay safe in some scenarios because obviously with these cars, open wheel and ovals, it's pretty tricky. Your race can be done pretty early, so you just need to stay calm and avoid everything because we saw a lot of DNFs already in the series from the top guys.
All right, Eduardo, well, it's a beautiful second place finish here from Red Bull Ring. We certainly appreciate any time we get to talk to you, Eduardo. We'll see you at Pocono next week. Congratulations on P2.
Thank you. See you guys.
That's Eduardo Leo in the 23 who comes home in second. And how about last week's race winner? Now third place finisher today from Red Bull Ring, Przemysław Lemonek. And Przemysław, we saw you hoist the thumbs up as you crossed the line last week at Fuji. While you didn't get to do that in winning fashion today, third place after 14th, starting on the grid, must feel pretty good.
Yes, it feels better than the race last week because then from the beginning I was close to the front. I knew I had the pace. Here it was something other than that. Everybody was much better than on Fuji because it's it's a classic open wheel track. Everybody who is in this championship knows this track amazingly well. There is nothing that you can gain advantage on. Everybody uses the car the same way. Everybody drives the same. So after qualifying 14th, I admit I messed up first 2 sectors on my flyer, on the second one, the good one. And after messing up first 2 sectors slightly, I decided to go full send in last sector. And I took a slowdown in last corner because I went 5 meters wide. It was a bit too much full send. But then in the race, I knew that I have to stay calm. I have to bring the points. I got a good start. Then Jar got a netcode with Marcos, so I kept making my way up the field. Then with last stint on softs, I got lucky that I could pick up Eduardo's draft and just cruise behind him. I told him that I don't want to fight, I want to bring home the P3. And that's exactly what we did. congrats to Michele on his first win of the season. He had very bad luck in the last races, but now he's got a win. He deserves it because he's very fast every week. He's top pace, just having a very bad luck. And yes, I'm happy.
I like the point that you made there about telling Eduardo, I'm not going to fight you for the spot. I just want the points. And you took home the fastest lap right before the race ended. Third place extends your championship margin by a bit, heading to Pocono. Now for these last two, what are you going to keep most important to you as you try to hold on to the championship lead?
Survive. If I survive, it will be good. My pace is always there. I'm always fast. I put a lot of effort into this championship. I do my best every single week. This week was a bit worse because I don't like Red Bulling, but I still practice quite a bit. I didn't make the quali lap, but the pace was there to fight on the top by the pure pace, not only because of some luck, because let's be honest, I had some luck with the other people crashing, getting lucky on pit entry. I got super lucky because I catched enormous understeer going into the pits. I was about to get a bad pit lane entry penalty on the entry, but somehow I managed to slow down and regain control because I turned the wheel and the wheel was so light that I just go full lock instantly. I was really nervous then, but I managed to stay within the white lines and then the pitting on lap 25, despite having fuel for one more lap, deciding to make an undercut worked amazing. I undercut Manel, who finished right behind me in the end. And yes, now need to keep bagging the points, need to stay calm, need to, most importantly, manage my mental situation before the races, because I am the driver who can hurt myself most. It's not the others, it's my head. If I mess up with the mental preparation for the race, it can be over because I do a stupid mistake, a stupid move. I get too aggressive early on. I need to stay calm and keep driving the same way as I was driving the entire championship.
Well, you kept a level head this afternoon, and it gives you a third place finish. Certainly big on your chase for a 2023 championship. Pocono's up next, so I'm sure survive is probably the best word to describe the race that we're going to have 1 week from today. But Pajama Swab, we certainly appreciate all the time. Congratulations on the podium finish. Best of luck at Long Pond, Pennsylvania, next race.
Thank you.
That is Pajama Swab Lemonade, Jake Sperry, your current points leader coming out of Red Bull Ring.
And not only that, he will guarantee himself the points leader coming out of Long Pond, Pennsylvania and Pocono Raceway. 27 points to the good. If he finishes ahead of David Toth and all of his rivals behind at Pocono, Lemonek will become your Grand Prix Turn Racing iRacing Series champion over at this brilliant track coming up. A crucial run. What turn 4? Pocono Raceway on November 9th. Here with us at this brilliant iRacing circuit. And this here, Peter, is the track which says you either win or you don't. It's heroes or zeros.
It is, and there's an opportunity for drivers who are out of the championship fight to really go all in and all risk for that victory. If you're Przemisław Lemonek, as he just said, it's going to be all about survival. If you're in that championship fight, risk-free.
Well, that risk is going to be worth its weight as they now bring themselves into the all-important run. David Toth, likes of Jarl Tyen, Marcos Nunez, they've all got work to do, and it's now the most severe of uphill battles. Can anybody stop the commander of Kamionka as we head to Pocono Raceway? It might be the ultimate lottery ticket in terms of finding a victory, but someone has to, or Lemonek is walking with the title.